First thing I noticed when I logged into beta was that you have a new deed, Defenders of the Wilderfolk. And pretty much this deed requires you to do all the quests in the dailies. We already have Shatur Munsu and Avabarg. And as you can see, I did both of those dailies, so I had those completed. But the big thing to notice here is you actually have 4 new quests in this deed, which means that we'll probably get more dailies with this update. And I can only assume that Ethereal over here will have new dailies once you do all the quests in the new area. Now looking at the patch notes, at the top there's an interlude, Shades of the Swamp. And pretty much this is a continuation of the Black Book. And it serves as a prologue for the adventures to come in Imlad Morgul, which is the next expansion in Minas Morgul. And as per usual, they don't include the Black Book in beta, so there is nothing to see from this right now. Next in the patch notes, you have Shades in the Swamp, the path to Gladdenmere. And it pretty much says that a rock slide in the Vales open up a new area, which is the Gladdenmere. And that's the new area we get with this update. And as it says here, if you completed the adventures in the Vales, like all the quests, visit any major landmark to begin your journey. So, my Cappy has done all the major quests. I go to Hultvis, I get into the Gladdenmere, and this will just take you to the new area. But as of right now, after you talk to Radagast, it takes you to Bjorninghus. But a known issue is that Gandalf is not visible, so it's not possible to progress this quest at the moment in this build. But it's still possible to go and look at the new area, which is what I'm gonna do next. In front of me here you can see the Gladden Fields, and all the way over here in the distance you have Gladden Falls, and behind there is the Gladdenmere Lake. As you can see, I'm pretty much right next to the Gladden Falls, right here. And you can already see signs of the new area with new mobs with quest rings, boss lights, and there are also shades around. Let's see if I can see one. There's one. Lost Spirit, more quests. So to get to the new area, you actually have to go back to the left a bit and then up. I'll show it now. Activate super speed. Here I am at the top of the Gladden Falls. This used to be blocked off, but thank you Rockslide that opened it up for us. You now have a brand new area to explore. Now I don't want to show too much of this area because I know people don't like getting spoiled, but I'll just look from the entrance point, talk about it real quick. On your right here is where you get ported to if you die in this area. So if you die anywhere within this area, you get ported back here if you retreat. And as you can see on the map, there's a campsite over here. There's actually a boat travel to the north side. I assume there's going to be a boat travel from here to around here. Of course, this is very helpful. And I also assume that in the future they will maybe update the map a bit. But pretty much from what I've seen, you have the entrance here, and follow this path on the left, and you have this big fortress over there, which I'll let people explore. And one cool thing, they actually connected this pass with Eregion, the Red Horn Pass. It's connecting even more of Middle-earth, which is pretty cool in my opinion. On the right side here, there's a lot of giants, some worms, and those quests were actually small fellowship, so they're a bit stronger, a bit more morale, which I don't mind. I like that you have to group for content, but of course there is still soloable. The giants had about 600 to 700k morale. But other than that, I don't want to go too much into detail. I'll let players explore for themselves. This area looks really nice. As usual from Lotro. Looks really good. But there's one thing I'm gonna show from this fortress that's coming up next. When I get closer to the fortress, you can actually see the name of the fortress, Kitsulkala, which of course is the name of the new dailies, Kitsukala. So you can assume once you finish the quests in this area, you'll unlock the new dailies, which is gonna be something with this fortress. Now, as you can see on the map, I moved further into the new area. I'm now at the foot of the fortress. And a quick thing to notice is there's a new Slayer deed, Slayer of the Dead. I don't know if you get Virtue XP, but I'm assuming with the advanced one you get 2000 normal. But the thing I want to show is this gate over here that's slightly open. This is actually the entrance to the new 6-man that's coming up. As you can see, the discovery, the depths of Kitsulkala. I completed this seed. Discover the entrance, which I am assuming is the new 6-man. Because if you run close, you can see the portal. And if you run close, it'll open your instance panel. But of course, the 6-man is not in the game yet. But I can only assume this will be the new 6-man. The next thing on the patch notes is the Scion difficulty system being introduced, which means you can now do some instances from tier 1 and tier 5. And the higher tier you do, the better the rewards are. And like at the end here, you can see opening a final boss chest above tier 4. There's also a chance for special epic gear to appear. Someone has posted in the forums. You have new helms, new gold helms that can drop. So from tier 4 and tier 5, these will have a chance to drop. New helms, new cloaks. And looking down, you have new bracelets you can get. And on these screenshots, they're all item level 388. But if you complete tier 5, as you can see, a person posted down here, they actually scale item level. So from tier 5, they got a item level 396. And looking at these items, they're pretty much upgrades from the anvil raid gear we have. I know a lot of players use this cloak, the will attack mitigation one. And this on item level 396 will be pretty strong. Looking at the instances, you can see that every instance is the same as before. Anvil still is tier 1 to tier 3, but the Grey Mountains instances can go up to tier 5. So I'm going to open up a Glimmer Deep and take a look at the tier 5. So looking at the tier 5 buff, you can see it right there, difficulty tier 5. More morale, more damage, more armor, more morale, more damage, more armor, more everything. But from what I've seen so far, they don't have massive amounts of morale, which I hope they keep it at this. Because you don't want to spend ages killing a 10 million HP troll. So if they keep the morale on them, like it's right now, it's fine in my opinion. And you can keep the damage and the other buffs. So looking at the patch notes, it says that it adds particularly challenging enemies, along with occasional new mechanics. The Scion buffed enemies can appear starting at tier 4, so tier 4 and tier 5. And Scion enemies can be randomly on any enemy. You can see these enemies are not Scions, but I noticed that one guy over here, you can see it's a mark above his head. click on him, it says Scion of Sauron. He has more morale than a normal goblin worker. As you can see, this one has 600k, this one has over 1 million, and I assume there are loads of different effects like this. From what I've seen on the forum so far, it seems really easy at the moment to do tier 5. I just pulled the troll. Tier 5 is apparently pretty easy right now. Not hitting as hard. But of course this is beta build number 1. I assume stuff will be tuned. And we'll see what happens in later builds. Probably the biggest thing about this update is the captain rework. There's a lot of notes here. I'll be going through all of them, just looking at them really quickly. And I'll be doing a parse to compare after. I won't be going into the blue cappy stuff because I've never tried blue cappy, but I also know that there's quite a few bugs already. People have posted on this thread. If you want to read about that, you can scroll down. But regardless, I'm just gonna go through all of these and look at the difference from beta and live. Starting at the top, captain skill and effect progressions have been normalized. A lot of the skill execution and animation times have been shortened, so it means you'll hit faster, which is needed in the cappy. For a long time it feels really slow and clunky. Most heals have had their magnitude increased. This is a clear buff to a cappy. I'm just gonna try to heal with Rallying Cry on live. I hit for 6.7k. The heal on beta was 13k. So Rallying Cry almost doubled in strength in my redline build. It's a pretty significant buff. Most damage skills that had their magnitude increased. Also needed on cappy. Cappies need more DPS. Probably the biggest change is Revealing Mark. If you look at Revealing Mark on live, it returns 15% of the damage that you deal, which has been really strong for DPS classes, especially ranged. You just do so much damage that you pretty much heal of this mark. So if we look at the patch notes, Revealing Mark now places a triggered area of effect on the target. The effect is triggered by any skill attack, pulsing a 6.5% heal within 10 meters up to once every 5 seconds. So what this means, if you look at the Revealing Mark on beta, you put Revealing Mark on a target. Any skilled attacks hitting the target will trigger a heal every 5 seconds, which will heal for 6.5% of maximum morale to anyone within 10 meters to the target. We can try this out. I put the mark on it. Revealing Mark applied a critical heal to Gin. It's actually possible to crit with this heal. So looking at this, I actually scored a critical hit with Revealing Mark. And it healed for 30k, because I was close enough. My next heal, after 5 seconds, healed only for 15k. It was about half. I'm assuming this means that every tick from Revealing Mark has a chance to crit. And I'm assuming that's from your cappy's crit rating. Words of Courage is now a primarily heal over time effect with a 30-second duration. If we look at live, it gives a heal, but also a really short heal over time. But now on beta, the heal is now still there, but you also get a much stronger heal over time, and it ticks for half a minute. It's a pretty strong buff, and it seems to me like a captain's off heals might be really strong now. Like just putting this on a tank will help out a lot. It's going to be really interesting to see what the blue cappies can do in terms of heals. If they can actually main heal stuff. Grave Wound base cooldown reduced from 20 to 15 seconds. In Redline, Grave Wound is now only a 10-second cooldown. Looking at live, Grave Wound in redline has a 15-second cooldown. And it's a 10 tick bleed for 20 seconds. It's a 10-second cooldown, but the tick is only 5 ticks over 10 seconds. I guess that makes sense. If you use Grave Wound every time it's off cooldown, you'll always have this bleed ticking. And the Grave Wound cooldown reduction is also a buff for Yellow Cappy. Your single target taunt with Grave Wound is now 5 seconds shorter. Valiant Strike had its base cooldown reduced by half. And the healing over time is increased in intensity but reduced in duration. This is blue line stuff. I'm not gonna go into it too much, but it's a buff to Valiant Strike. Muster Courage had its cooldown reduced from 20 to 10 seconds. This is actually huge. On live, Muster Courage 20-second cooldown. After you pop Muster Courage, 10-second cooldown. Feels really nice. Standard of Honor's pulse rate has been lowered, but the healing pulse magnitude has been increased. This is the blue line banner. Now a couple of things for yellow line. Fighting Withdraw, which is the parry buff for the captain, has been reduced from 60% to 40% parry. The cooldown is halved from 2 minutes to 1 minute, and the duration is reduced from 30 to 20 seconds. Looking at live, at Fighting Withdrawal, it gives you 60% parry chance for half a minute, which is really strong. And the cooldown isn't that long, it's 2 minutes. Now on beta, it's now turned into a 40% parry chance. Duration is 20 seconds, but the cooldown is 1 minute. A lot of people might think that this is a nerf to the Cappy, but in my opinion, having this huge of a cooldown, the 20-second duration every minute, it's really strong. And in my opinion, this is a buff to the Yellow Cappy. I changed to Strength in Numbers. The pulse rate has been reduced, but the magnitude has been increased. Look at live. It pulses every second for 10 seconds. On beta, it actually pulses every 2 seconds for 20 seconds. So it's the same amount of pulses, only slower. And it will pulse for more. This is actually kind of a buff. Strength in Numbers. They fixed an issue where the healing magnitude for Banner of Honor was incorrect. Cryo Vengeance, your Cappy heal can no longer be used while moving, so you'll have to stand still while using the double res. The Steeled Resolve now provides its correct 2, 4, 6, 8% maximum morale bonus. We can take a look at this. On live, I have the same build as on beta. My morale is almost 290k. On beta, my morale is increased, which tells me that you were not getting the proper morale from Steel Resolve, and that's probably now fixed. I changed to Arendel's Fury. It no longer provides a defeat event, but instead gives you a large damage bonus when it's at full stack. This trait in yellow has been broken for a long time, not working as intended. I don't really see the idea behind this. So Yellow Cappy, you don't do any damage at all, really. And this extra damage buff is not gonna do much for a Cappy. But at least it's gonna be doing something. They've now added Elvish Captain Heralds and Archers. So now if you're in High Elf, you can now actually have an elf running with you instead of a man. And they've now increased the damage, morale, and mitigation on your pets. I did a 1-minute parse on both Cappies on live and beta. On beta, I was around 30k DPS. After a minute, on live, I was around 20k DPS. So there's a clear increase in DPS. I don't really have a mastery build. I have pretty high crit, but my mastery is not super high. But still, it's noticeable that the DPS is higher, which is a good thing. An update to crafting. A new tier of essences called Gladdenmere essences are now available for crafting. So if you look at your crafting, there's now a tier 4 Gladdenmere essence. Now personally I don't think this was needed at all. We just recently got tier 3 pretty much, and it's not a huge upgrade. It's not needed for the content, but I guess if their tier 5 content gets scaled properly and it's really hard, then maybe this would be useful. But in my opinion, this was not really needed. But in any case, I will show you what you need to make them. As usual, you need some crafting mats, jewelers, ingots, and duragleams. You need a shard, you need a solvent, and for the tier 4 one, you need 2 malleable mithril essences. And crafting this will give you a tier 4 essence. And this is what the tier 4 essences look like. You get a minor increase from tier 3. Of course, if you like to min-max, you will be getting these, but honestly, you're fine with tier 3 essences. And at the bottom, some item fixes. An issue with a pet crashing, and gear that appears in the Grey Mountains 3 and 6 person instances, which is TG, Glimmerdeep, and Caverns, are now only able to increase by 1 item level instead of 5. And this makes sense because you now have 5 tiers. You don't need the random high item level change chance. And they now finally corrected the issue where if you get the tier 3 set bonus items, the jewelry, it would show like a really low item level when you're trying to select. And it should now show the correct item level. And at the bottom, some minor bug fixes, some known issues. I'm gonna leave a link anyways to this thread if you want to read it yourself. That's the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I will of course take a look at the next beta build. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, join my Discord, and I will see you in the next one.